Okay, here we are. Let's go. So we're going to go from complacency where things are comfortable, which is that place where we just will stay there. We know that place, to courageous micro moves. So April is an interesting month for us, right? At least here in Cleveland, Ohio, a lot of changes. Could snow, could be gorgeous, could rain, could be a tornado. Like it could be anything in April. So we're going to use this challenge to learn how to go from complacency, the brain protecting itself, to actually taking a few little actions, like all those little plants that are sprouting up very courageously. We're going to do the same thing. So let's just start with, it's not you, it's your brain. It's just your brain protecting your amazing organ of your brain. So it's protecting itself, it's protecting your body, keeping you safe, keeping it where you know what's going on. Okay. So that's what it wants to, keep you in familiar. That's okay. This month, we're going to take little teeny actions. There's quick videos. There's a YouTube course on this I made. So that just means there's a few videos right in a row, and you can watch one a week, intro video, and then little actions each week, 2-minute videos. One, just the summary one is 5 minutes. Super quick, right? So let's just go over super quick. Where are we going here with all this? Okay. So we're going to, think about maybe 10-minute actions each week, structured videos, checklist, structure, right? Strategy. That's the way, it's fine to gain insights and learn things, but then how do you put it into action? That's really that area of hesitation. So when you say you're complacent or you're stuck or you just keep doing the same thing, it's going to take some energy to get into that courageous micro move action, but we're going to do it together because in Fresh Path MD, that's what we do. We do it together because everything's way more fun. And when we're supported, we are more successful. When we say it out loud, when we have a plan, we're more successful. So we're going to hit all the boxes that help us just be more successful and continuing to grow and focus on what's important to us these days. In order to find freedom and flexibility in life, we actually need to focus. So if we're trying to do everything, I can't imagine that would feel either very free or flexible, right? So we're going to focus on what's really important to us to build our freedom and our flexibility. We got this, right? So again, 10 minutes a week, maybe not even. It kind of depends how fast you move. We're really going to talk about that reason that we stay in that zone where we make a plan, we learn something, we think we're going to do it, maybe we even put it on our calendar, and then there's a pause. There's a lot of thoughts, there's emotions, there's just a pause. So we stay complacent, right? So why? Why? What's going on? Well, this amazing lecturer, she's an organizational psychologist. Dr. Susan David is her name. She has a book called Emotional Agility. Highly recommend it. Um, she talks about the reasons we stay in that zone where we don't make a move. We plan, we maybe even, have an idea why it would be helpful, but we don't make a move. And we'll see this in ourselves. We also see this in our teams. So we're going to talk about the 5 things that she said, the reasons that we have hesitation emotionally towards change. I think it's really important to name these things because once we name them, we give them a lot less power. So let's just go, right? So the first one, week one, we're going to start with naming the real hesitation. Why is the reason that we pause, that we hesitate? It's lost. We might be losing something. So we might be losing free time. We might be losing our safety. We might think we're safer staying quiet or not trying things, not pushing the limits, not building a new identity. We could talk about that if that's truly safer, but we may think that might be our mindset toward that. Um, we might lose friends. If you try something new, people are like, what are you doing? I don't even know you anymore. You're doing all this stuff. If you, like, I put my name in the hat to become a local politician, like, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? I just want to help my community, but it also means I have to put myself out there and then I get criticism for it. So it's interesting, certain things if I'm trying to grow and do it for service, it's certainly not for money. Don't make much money, actually hardly any at all, doing that kind of thing. But for me, I wanted to kind of see my community from new angles. And so that's the reason I put my name in the hat for that one on the ballot. So did I put myself at risk? Yeah. Is there a loss of something? Yeah, it's loss of safety for me because all of a sudden people are like, well, who do you think you are? There's these people have been doing it for 20 years. Why do you think you could do it? And I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to help. I don't know if I'm better or worse than the other people. I'm willing to help. Um, so we can avoid change. We can stay in that stuck in that complacent zone because something feels scary. We might lose something. We might lose our stability. We might lose our free time. You might lose money if you try some things. You might lose your time. So what is one area where you feel stuck in this week, this first week? We're going to talk about that. One area, you get your pen out. What's one area where you feel a little bit stuck? And what might you change just this week? What's something you can think about this week and an action you can take? Okay, so we might, think about that thing that you thought of. Maybe you feel stuck in professionally, you were hoping to maybe write more papers, or you were hoping to give more talks nationally at a national level. Maybe you were hoping to get your professorship level up, or you were hoping to find some fun in meaning in your professional planning. Or you're hoping to find just more flexibility, is what I hear from a lot of docs that I coach. Um, just a plan. Like they feel like they're just on someone else's escalator. So they're hoping for flexibility and some attention toward their next month or 6 months or 6 years. Um, so that's where they feel stuck. It's like, I don't feel intentional. I don't feel free. I don't feel um, flexible. I feel like they're stuck at work, like they're just in a rut in the same job and the same boss and for a long time, and it's just all the same. So, what might you lose if you change? You might lose salary. You might lose free time. You might lose your colleagues that you see all the time if you decide to make a change at work. You might lose your self-esteem because you might ask for something and they may say no. Or you might try to build something yourself. Like I built a business called Brain Fresh and it might not work. So you might lose something when you try something, right? It's true. We might lose, but guess what? We might also gain. So what might we gain by trying those things? Um, we might gain experience. We might gain some new neural pathways because we tried something new. We might gain new colleagues because we're now maybe you're going to a writing class. Like I took a writing class one time because I didn't really feel really solid in my writing. I wanted some help. And that was fun. I met people. It really helped just to normalize like how challenging it is to write. I took a grant writing class one time because I wanted help to learn about that. Um, I took a business course. I joined a group of doctors learning about business. I took a business coaching course for a year. So what did I lose there? Money. It cost me money. It cost me my time, but it was important to me to learn those things. So what might I gain? I gained a lot of new friends, new colleagues. I gained a whole like level of awareness of what's possible for doctors building businesses themselves. All kind of businesses, not just private practice, but all different kind of businesses. So we may also just want to go back to the neuroscience of this change, this complacency, these courageous micro actions, and just name the emotions. I feel scared. I feel stuck. I feel concerned. I feel like I might lose whatever you may lose. And then I might also gain these other things, like I gained friends and insights and energy because I felt more free to build things because I was around people that were also building things and I learned the actual strategies and the steps to do it. And then it increases our prefrontal clarity and action because that is our higher executive level function. Okay, so that's week one. That's it. 3 questions, 10 minutes. I bet 10 minutes. So that's all. It's just a thought here. It's just what might we lose with something we may change? What might we gain? Just balance those thoughts out a little bit. Okay. So we're gonna go towards, oops, did I just do? Well, we're not gonna do this one. Let me go back. I want this one. I don't want this one. I guess I just closed it. I didn't mean to close it. Okay, yeah. So we want to go to week two. we're going to talk about creating safety to make that move. How do we feel safe? We have to address safety. Brains are very concerned about safety, right? So it is, again, it's an organ that looks around all the time, helps us make sure we're safe. Our brain itself and our whole body. It's supposed to, that's its number one thing, keep us safe, right? We hear about psychological safety at work. I heard that recently described, like if you feel like you can give an idea, nobody will judge you or nobody will criticize you in a meeting. That's maybe psychological safety. I'm sure there's long formal definitions of what truly is psychological safety, but that's one. It's just being free to share your ideas without retribution. So the truth is that no action happens without a sense of safety. We have to feel safe making that move. So if you're going to take a little courageous micro action, we have to feel safe doing it. So we have to figure out like what is a safe step. When I coach women docs, I talk about what we do in coaching is almost like setting stones across the river. If you see across the river, freedom and flexibility and meaningful work, and you want to get there, we have to take little stones that we can step on and feel safe crossing over there. So we have to build skills and insights and actions to get across the river. We can't just like snap our fingers and get over there, right? So we want to think of one small step that you've been avoiding. We're going back to that complacency, that comfort that we stay in. How do we take that micro courageous action? Maybe that step you're thinking about, maybe we need to shrink it a little bit. We just have to say, like, okay, I'm a woman doc. I had a woman doc reach out to me. She has two little kids, and she's asking, will she do, can she do one-on-one coaching? She's thinking she wants more flexibility in her life. And these are the kind of docs that I coach. Is just like, I feel like there's something more. There's something, not even more, just different. I want to feel more flexible. I want to feel free to to try some things. And she's young in her career, but she's ready to, put some time into coaching and think about this. And so maybe then we would break down the actions like I did with another surgeon that I coached. And she liked that. That thought is that we're crossing the river and we need to take these small steps to get safely across the river. So we shrink it down, just maybe a small, small step that we feel safe taking. So what might that be? For let's say for that surgeon, some of the first steps, just looking what other people are doing who are building businesses that are docs. Maybe go on, she wanted to put a blog on a certain platform. Go on, look around other doctors that are there. So just sometimes, that's her action is some research. But we don't want to be an endless research. That's sometimes our safe zone is just endless research. And one of my coaches, her name is Rachel Rogers, she would say that's endless busy work. You're just always doing something, but you're not really doing what you need to do. And so we have to take a step. So we said, okay, maybe you just go in and open, a site on that platform. Um, and instead of like thinking you're going to open your whole business and get it running in one day, you're just going to take a step. Just going to cross that river. Okay. So if there's a big thing you want to do, maybe we're going to break it down into a small action and say to ourselves, like, this is safe. I can try this action and then take that step, do it, right? Instead of say, I'm going to plan a whole business, maybe you open a document and you list the first ideas you have, or three businesses or three people you can reach out to and ask them how they started, and actually reach out to somebody, because taking a motion, taking an action is really important. Okay. So week 3, we just need to remind ourselves that we have a choice. In healthcare, we usually just get on a path, and that's how everyone does it. You're a researcher, you're a clinician, you're an academician, you're a private practice doc, and it's just like a formula, like boom, that's you just join in. You don't think about how you can use your special gifts or strengths, or maybe you like a lot of different things and you want to put it together and make something with your unique baking interests, or I love crafting, or or art, or whatever you love. How do you put it all together? So, we think about that. Are we forced to stay on those paths? So think about when you say, I have to do this. Maybe we say, I choose to, or I get to, because X. So if you want to say, I choose to look into how to build a business because I would like more flexibility and freedom in my life as a woman doc. And what is aligned with your values there. So you want to make sure you're aligned with what's important to you right now. And that could change, right? So, I had an aunt that I have been supporting, my brother and sister and I, with dementia. She never had children, so we were supporting her. Um, and so that was important to us, right? And then just supporting that community, you live in those places and you meet families, and that was important to us at that moment. Now she just passed a few weeks ago. And so um, right now I don't, that's not important to me to go visit her. Obviously, she's passed. Would I go back in there to help the other families? I could think about it, But so what was important to me at one moment is maybe not what's important to me at this moment. Excuse me. So, we want to go from that feeling like we have to what's important to us. What do we want in our lives? How are we reminding us that we have a choice? So we get to say, I choose to, right? So that's week 3. We're reclaiming. Um, it's like that learned helplessness is the term that we hear about, that they did these experiments on dogs and were shocking the cages. It's horrible. And the dog just stopped trying to get out. They just, because the door was locked at one time, and then the door wasn't even locked, and they just stopped trying to get out. We can do that. There's something called learned helplessness where, you try to change things. It seems hard. It doesn't seem like it's working, and we might just stop trying, right? So we have to remind ourselves we have agency and we can change, and remind ourselves what are our points throughout our day, throughout our week, throughout our weekend, where we have agency. We can change things. Okay, week 4. It's the big month. Complacency to courageous actions. Okay, week 4. We want to consider expanding our identity in a safe way. So we want to make sure that we're acknowledging the fears that can go along with changing your identity. I was just talking to a patient yesterday about, she was thinking about retiring, and she's 65, and she has worked, she said, since she was 17. And I was like, well, be careful. After there's a lot of change with retirement. Like she gets up at 4 in the morning, gets to work by 6, and she's a busy person. So if all of a sudden all of that is gone, like, who are you? I love that, my husband and I are working part-time now so that we have like a slow off ramp. So we can build our identity. We started golfing. I take pottery lessons. Like, we just started new things, and we're more active in our political community here. We joined a new church. Like, we just have more time, to do something new and to change our identity a little bit before we're completely retired. And so we can change, because otherwise it feels like a threat, though, when we want to change, because the status, like, who are you? As a doctor, you walk in the room like, oh, she's a doctor. Aren't you a doctor? You're a doctor, So that's like a status thing, right? If you're like, no, I'm a retired doctor, maybe someday, or retired, whatever you might be, or the belonging, like, we belong to a medical community when we work. But Sasha Shilcutt said it wonderfully. Your identity is not something you get paid for. So remember that, so don't leave it to only your job. Your identity is, maybe your wife, mother, sister, your community member, you volunteer, you're an artist. Like, I don't know, you're probably a lot of things, but you're not only a physician. And so we have to use terms like we're growing, right? So I am becoming a woman who, I am becoming a woman who practices pottery. My pottery sometimes comes out good, sometimes comes out hilarious. Um, and we can just share in our community. So in Brain Fresh, in our Fresh Path MD, if on the app, if you could see it here, is called Zendler. It's the purple boxes here. So it's called Zendler Education. It's a free app where you could, have access to the community. And so if you hit that and then you're in the community, you hit home, you'll see Fresh Path, and you click on that. You could get to the course, or you go back, and then you could hit on the community, and then you can see if there's anything new. And in April, I'm going to put it in every week so that we have each week our activity here in the community. So you'll see it here. So it says here, like, the April challenge. And then you can also comment. So then every time you're going to do something in the challenge, you can put it here in the app. So the app is called Zendler Education. And if you have any questions about that, you just message me at thebrainfresh@gmail.com. Okay. So, 4 weeks, a little something each week. You'll be surprised how much growing we can do um, when we just do a little something. Okay. So we have a checklist for you for this month and some reflections, what felt easier than you expected, what surprised you about learning more about your brain, and how do you feel aligned? Just finding that agency and feeling it again when we take some actions, you could feel it again. So I am accepting right now two slots for one-on-one coaching. So if that interests you, just email me at thebrainfresh@gmail.com. And we can set up a call. I'll send you this calendar link and we'll just see, what's going on with you and what's important to you now and what have you tried, and we'll talk it through and see if my style of coaching can be helpful for you right now. It's application-based coaching. So we need to have a chat first. Okay, you got this, guys. Proud of you. All is well. A little bit of actions at a time, right? April's a big month. It blows so much in and out, lots of emotions. We got this. Okay, stay well.